Hello fellow Unreal Engine games developers. Today we're going to be upgrading the gates in our desert driving game to provide multicolored gates with varying score values. So let's get straight into it. We're going to update our gate system so that we have 3 different colored gates, green, yellow and red, and they'll be worth 1, 2 and 3 points respectively. So the first thing we need to do is update our particle system on the gate so that we can parameterize the color. So if you go to your FX folder and open up the NS gate, currently it's a fixed blue color. So we want to, it's in the initialized particle, we want to make this color a parameter that we can pass in rather than a fixed color of blue. And the way you do that is that you go to your user parameters on the system and we can add a new parameter here. If you do plus, add a new parameter to the group. We want it to be a linear color. And if we edit it, actually just click on it to rename it, right click to rename, and we'll call this gate color. Okay, so now we have this parameter. So go back to the initialized particle in the emitter, and instead of the fixed blue color, from the drop down box, search for gate color, and there's the user parameter. Okay, so at the moment it's defaulting to white here. If you want to just test whether it works, go back to your user parameters, choose the gate color and change it. And you'll see that as I change it in the user parameter, it changes on the emitter. So now we can adjust that in the blueprint as we spawn the gate. So that's the first thing done. You can now save, compile and save that and close that down. Now what we want to do is we want to update our gate so that it can accept a custom color and a custom score. So go to your gates folder, open up your BP gate, and if we look at the viewport first, you can see we've got 2 gates. They're left at the last color I set the system to, but that doesn't matter because we'll be setting this every time we spawn the gate. So what we want to do is we want to accept color as an input. Actually, no, we want to accept score as an input. So we're going to have scores of 1, 2 and 3. And then depending on the score value, we're going to display green, yellow or red. So if we go back to the event graph, let's just test out first of all setting the parameter. It's always good to build things up in a stepwise fashion. So let's create a custom event and we'll call it set gate color. And what we will do is we will take in our 2 gates. In fact, let's rename them. Rename them to left gate and right gate, and pull in the first one with control. Oh, in fact it's done both and that's fine though. So left gate and right gate, and what we want to do is we want to set the parameter, and the way you do that is do Niagara variable, set Niagara variable, and you see you've got various different options here. The one we want to set is this linear color. So we do that, and the variable name is gate color. So this is what we set up as our user parameter. You don't have to put the user dot in front of it. So that's the first thing. And let's duplicate this with Control W here. And just to test it out, let's just make a color. Make linear color, and let's set it to green, for example. So make the green 1, and make sure the alpha is set to 1 as well, otherwise it'll be transparent. So this is just a test. And in order to call this set gate color function, let's just put it in the begin play function. So when this gate is spawned, the begin play function will fire and will set the gate color. Okay, so this is our first tests. Let's compile, save that. Oh, what have we done wrong? Oh, I didn't put a color in here. I only put it in the left gate. Makes sense if I attach the right gates to the target as well. Okay, that's fine. So now I've set up the gate color to put a green color in the left gate and a green color in the right gate. In play mode, let's just do it as one play at the moment, server. So go into play, okay, and press B to begin the game. And we should have, somewhere around here, a green gate. Let's do a little bit of drive around. Oh, there it is over there. And you can see that the colours of the left and the right gate have been set to green. So that's good. That's our first test. Passed. Come out of here. Now what we want to do is we want to set up a score of 1, 2 and 3 and associated colours. So let's get rid of this make linear colour for now. And what we want to do is we want to add in a couple of variables. So the first variable we want to add in is a gate score, which will be an integer. So, and we want to make this instance editable and expose on spawn, so that when we spawn the gate, oh, don't worry about that at the moment, we haven't got any values in here, we'll set those up later. So when we spawn the gate, we'll pass in a score of 1, 2 or 3. And then later on we'll make sure we interrogate that when we want to add the score to the player's total. Now what we need to do is we need to set up an array of colours that we set this gates to, depending on the score that's passed in. So add another variable in, and we'll call this gate colors, and this is going to be a linear color variable, and we want it to be an array of linear colors. So again, you'll get an error when you compile, but that's okay. We now have an array that we can set up. So set up 3 elements for our 3 different scores, and we want to set this up as green, alpha 1, yellow, which is red and green, 1 and alpha 1, and the last element is going to be red, 1 and alpha 1. So these are our 3 colours which we'll pick from depending on the score that's passed in. Okay, so now we need to set these Niagara variables depending on the score. So we're going to spawn the gate, we're going to pass in a gate score of 1, 2 or 3. So let's pull in the gate score, and in order to get from 1, 2 and 3 to our index values of 0, 1 and 2, we need to subtract 1 from there. So subtract. So now we have scores of 0. We have the scores of 1, 2 and 3 converted to indexes 0, 1 and 2. And we can use that to get our color from the gate colors array. So pull in the gate colors array, do a get a copy, and pass in the converted score. So now we'll have 0, 1 and 2 here, and we can pass this into our left and right gate. Let's move this up slightly so we can see the wires coming in. Okay, now if we compile, there are no more errors, that's good. So we should have gate color set, but we haven't set this gate score yet when we spawn the gate, so we need to do that before we do our next test. And this is done in the gate spawner. So leave this open for now, go back to the gates folder and open up your gate spawner, and you'll see that when we spawn the gate, we have now got this additional input of gate score. So we want to randomize a value between 1 and 3 when we spawn the gate. So if you do random int and range, we want a score value between 1 and 3, and we'll plug that into the gate score. Okay, so now we'll be passing that score in, and that's now ready for our next test. So we're not, we haven't added the score in the game yet, but it should drive the colors. So we should get random colors between those 3 values. So let's do another test. Go into play mode. Let's begin the game and see what we get. Our first gate has spawned beside us, and that is green. So that is a 1 point value. Let's go through it. And the next one is spawned, and that's a different color, yellow, for 2 points. So it seems to be working. Obviously we haven't tested them all out. And then the third gate, after the sandstorms come in, is also yellow for 2 points. Win the game, so let's start another game. If I can see a gate, there's one over there. It's either green or yellow, difficult to see in the fog. Green. And the next one is yellow. Haven't had a red 3-pointer yet, but it is random. Oh, and there's red. Okay, so all 3 values work, but the score value as I go through each gate is still only 1 point. What we want to do is we want to take this gate score and we want to add that to the player's total score. So that should be fairly straightforward. If we close down these gate spawners and gates, because we've finished with those, let's look at the logic for adding the score, which I believe was in player controller. So if you go to your players folder, open up BP My Player Controller, and if you find the section on score handling, the add score at the moment, if you look at it, it just adds a score value of 1. And what we want to do is we want to add a score of whatever the gate value is. So in order to do that, we'll need to update this server add score function to have a parameter. So just take the score to add and drag it back to the server add score. So now we have a parameter here, which is score to add. And when we call this function, server add score, we need to pass that score in. So I think that's done in the gate function. So go back to your gates folder, open up the gate. And here is the logic for when the vehicle passes through the gate, add the score. So you can see here, the server add score, we now have this score to add, and we've got the gate score here, so we can just drag that in. Okay, so now let's test out the scoring and see if that works. So go into play mode. In a game, and the first gate spawned is green, which is 1 point. Okay, that works. The next one up is yellow. This is 2 points, so that should take us to the winning 3-point score. And you see that my score went from 1 to 3 and I win the game. Let's try another game and carry on testing this. So you see a gate over there. I have one over there. So we've got a green gate to start off with. So this should be 1 point. Ooh. And we have another green gate. So this would be another 1 pointer. and then we have a yellow 2-point score. So this brings us up to 4 points. Now this brings us to the first problem we've got to resolve. Why haven't we won the game? In fact, let's go through this red gate as well and see if we get 3 points. So we're at 4 at the moment, so this should take us up to 7, and it does. But we didn't have you win when we passed the winning score of 3. And if you examine the check, you should be able to figure this one out quite quickly. If you go to the game mode, BP pickup game mode, and now we look at our section for determining the winner. The way we determine the winner is when we added a score, we checked the score against the winning score, but it had to be exactly equal. And what happened is that we got a score that was above the winning score. So we need to change this logic now to check if it's greater than or equal to. So instead of checking whether the score we've currently added is a winning score, delete that and change it to greater than, I can find it on the keyboard, greater than or equal to the score. So if the score is greater than or equal to the winning score, then we've got a winner. And we also need to check it here as well. This is where we actually said you're the winner rather than you're the loser. So delete this check and put in the same greater than or equal to check here and pass that into the show game result as is the winner. So that should resolve that problem. So let's do another test. Go into play mode. Press begin. Look for a gate. There's a gate behind. So it's green, 1 point. Another green. One point makes it 2. And fogs come in. We'll be able to find the gates because I've spawned them quite close to the centre while I'm testing. Having said that, now I'm having difficulty finding it. Over there. And it's another green. So this actually will make the score 3, which is equal to the winning score. So we haven't done a real full test yet, so we've got to do this. We've got to do another test. This should still win the game though, because we're greater than or equal to the winning score. So that was a good test to do. Let's start another game. Got a yellow gate to start off with. 2 points. And then the next gate is yellow. Right, so this is good. So this will take us to 4 points. This failed in the first test. This should now be a winner. Yeah. So even though the winning score is 3, it's greater than or equal to, and I'm a winner. So that's sorted out the scoring issues. Now, you may think at this point, all my work's done, everything works fine. But have you tested it in multiplayer, and does it work in multiplayer? Let's give it a go. So I'll just make it 2 players at the moment. And we'll go into play mode. So go to the server and let's start the game. Alright, look around for a gate. There's one over here. So I won't go through it, I'll just go up to it. So we have a green gate here. Let's get up close. And then I'll go over to my client view. And let's go and up to the other player. And straight away, I can't see a gate. So I can see the other player. And if I go in front of them, if I go through where the gate is, I actually score. So the gate is there, but it's invisible. And this is because we've only set the gate color on the server. we haven't set the gate color on the clients. So this is a thing that could have caught you out if you didn't do testing on multiplayer as well. So let's resolve this problem before we wrap up this episode. Go to the gate spawner. And what's happening is that the gate spawner is running on the server. It's spawning the gate, and the gate is then setting the gate color on the server, because the gate color, or the gate score rather, only exists on the server. So it has no gate score yet on the client in which to set the variable. So your first thought might be, oh well, I can do when I begin play, I can do a multicast to set it to all of the replicated versions. But if you remember from some of our previous episodes, we've found that multicast isn't a good thing to do when you're spawning new objects, because you're never sure whether the command is going to get there before it's actually been replicated. So we want to use our old friend onRepNotify. And what we can do is we can take our gate score variable and change the replication from none to repNotify. And we'll compile that. And now what we can do is we will receive this gate score on the clients at a time when this gate has actually been replicated. So go to our onRep gate score, open it up, and we can now call our set gate color function. So let me talk you through this again. Again, it's good to understand the whole flow. In fact, let's start from the gate spawner. So go to the gate spawner. So when we spawn a gate, we're doing it on the server. We're creating a gate on the server with a gate score of 1 to 3. Now let's go to the gate. The gate score, now, well, when the first thing will happen is on the server, because we'll begin play on the server, it will set the color using the gate score. And then the gate score will be replicated to the client versions of the gate, and the onRep gate score will set the gate color when that gate score has been sent across. So going back here, we now know we have the gate score on the client. We can get the gate colors because they're static in the object, and we can set the gates now on the client. So this should now work across all of the clients as well. So let's make sure everything is saved and compiled, and we'll do a final test on 4 players just to make sure they all work. Go into play mode, go to the server, begin the game, and I can see behind me there's a green gate. In fact, I can already see on client 3 in the bottom right. See here that he can see a green gate. Let's go to one of the others. Drive around a bit. Okay, it looks like I can see the green gate as well. And let's go to the last client. Yeah, and I can see a green gate there as well. So let me just drive through and see what the next one spawns us. Now red gate, although the fog has somewhat obscured it. So there's my red gate. If I go to one of the other clients and drive towards it, yeah, that's red gate as well. So that looks as though the colours are now replicating as they should do. And that finishes off today's tutorial. I hope you found it useful, and look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.